However, it is interesting, and I want to put this challenge to you. The guys who slaughtered Lee Rigby on the streets of Woolwich did so in the name of your religion. Now, does your religion approve of that slaughter? Does it applaud that slaughter? Or does it regret that slaughter? I mean, where do you stand in your understanding of Islam? Because they did it in the name of Islam. They quoted great chunks of the Quran in order to murder that man lying in the gutter there. I think you've got to answer these questions, Anjem. You can't duck around them.
Okay.
Well, I think that, you know, it's very interesting that Alan has shifted his ground, in fact, because he was talking about the foundations of Christianity a minute ago. Now he wants to talk about slaughter in the name of religion. Well, I think that you're going to lose the argument, Alan, really, because the butchering of people on a mass scale is, in fact, a Christian tradition, isn't it? Let's face it, Hitler was a Christian, wasn't he? What happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki? I don't think that Michael Adebolajo killed as many as Adolf Hitler, did he? What about, you know, the Crusades? You know, 70,000 were killed, I think, within the first couple of days in 1099. In 1089, I think they were eating the bodies of the Muslims, you know, after they were killing them. I mean, all in the name of Christianity. That was in the name of Christianity. That was closer to the scripture, wasn't it? It was Christians closer to the time of the revelation than the Christians nowadays. And for your information, Bush and Blair have openly said that what they do is in the name of Christianity. What they did in Iraq and Afghanistan is in the name of Christianity. What people did on the streets of Woolwich was a reaction to the Christian crusade which is taking place around the world. You see, that is true. Where do you think the Jews went for a sanctuary when Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand were slaughtering the people who are here in Spain? They went to the Muslims in Africa, didn't they? To the Khilafah system. Why? Because the Khilafah protects you and preserves you. That's what we want for England. I think the problem is you see, that yes, there are people who react to the Christian crusade and you know, Guantanamo Bay, Abu Ghraib, rendition, Iraq and Afghanistan, and these two individuals did in Woolwich. You know, I differ about the issue that we have. I believe we have a covenant of security. They obviously didn't believe that. In war, people kill each other, you know, but we need to get to the root causes. The root causes are not Muslims in Somalia and Afghanistan and Iraq occupying England, are they? It's rather Cameron and Bush and Blair, who are all Christians, incidentally, sending their troops, you know, and you can see on the bombs it says, you know, it talks about Allah and Muhammad and stuff like that, and it's very disparaging. And you know, they have their prayer service before they go out to the battlefield. They do it in the name of Christianity. You know, I mean, I've got a lot of statistics here that I can share with you. You know, if you want to know about the corruption within the church, you know, I mean, you know, I can say I've got. Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Well, no, I mean, if we look at the abuse.
Why you came to Iraq? Why? Why came here?
If you go back to that one picture, this is a way that we would take out our aggression. For those of you who don't know, it is illegal to shoot into a mosque unless you are taking fire from it. There was no fire that was taken from that mosque. It was shot into because we were angry.
Fought with the
ابويا رجله مكسوره. العراقيين بغداد ابويا دم بغداد. لا يخالف ابويا حتى يفرق يده. لا يخالف.
You understand? Up, now. Let's go. Come on. Up. Yeah. Up. Oh! Here. Here's your cane.
Hey, sit down, you.
Hey.
Sit.
Sit. Hey, Jack. All right. Go through the house.
You got him?
Hey. This guy's got a bum knee?
Yeah.
No. You have to stay. You stay.
Hey! Sergeant C.
Put them all in here. Put all the women in here.
Christ.
No. You
got like potatoes
You too.
خلي عليك يا أمك.
You?
Go. Why that is
Put the little kid in here.
Hey!
Some more food meals. No, you too. Go. Come this way. Somebody get this old man.
This guy just... You want to pick him up and carry him, he's just like a stack of weight. Sit down. You can stand there, it'll probably take you an hour for you to get back up.
Good evening from New York. At a meeting with Palestinian leaders in June 2003, then President Bush reportedly having claimed that God told him to go to war. Mr. Bush reported as having said, quote, God would tell me, George, go and fight those terrorists in Afghanistan, and I did. And then God would tell me, George, go and end the tyranny in Iraq, and I did. Our fifth story on the countdown, it turns out that God received a rather hefty assist from Donald Rumsfeld. Newly released memos showing that Mr. Bush's defense secretary, having placed on the cover of his daily reports to the president biblical passages and corresponding war imagery that carefully framed the mission in Iraq as nothing less than a Christian crusade. What another faith might call...
So how do you know, I mean, does God talk to you at all? Or, I don't mean like, well, I don't know what I mean.
Drinking. I mean, I don't hear voices, but it's like somebody said, do you see Lincoln's ghost here in the White House? I said, no, I quit drinking. But no, yeah, you could, a thoughtful prayer life, and one that genuinely is open and thoughtful. Yes, you can commune with God. Now, I don't hear voices, but I do feel the Spirit.
So
the third Republican debate. During the debate, the moderator asked the candidates what political philosopher or thinker they most identified with.
Governor Bush, a philosopher thinker, and why?
Christ, because he changed my heart.
Dawn on April the 5th, American F-16s took off to strike the target. At the Pentagon, they watched the attack live through aerial surveillance. The video they later released was less graphic than the original.
We're watching this video of the attack, and the first weapon comes in, and then the second weapon comes in and strikes the building. And you're able to see bodies like rag dolls flying up into the air. And I'll tell you, we sat there and we were cheering, thinking, yeah, we just got Chemical Ali. Someone who is just an evil man is now dead. And we rejoiced at it.
Only later did it become clear that Chemical Ali had not been killed, and there were innocent victims.
There were 17 civilians killed there, and we didn't get Chemical Ali. And suddenly, I don't feel so good about this target. And you start to wonder who those rag dolls were that you saw flying through the air.
Most of the dead came from neighboring families. It was one of the worst losses of civilian life in the campaign in the South. But it proved a turning point.
Explosives.
His objections were overruled. The intelligence was quick to Iraq.
And the words we got were basically, this is a big one, don't miss.
In the skies above Baghdad, the intelligence passed to the B-1 was less precise than usual. One of the target points was Abdul Masih's home.
Here was the first victim we dug out from my own family. Here in the middle, we found Mariam, my niece, Malana, my older daughter. Then we got to the kitchen, where we found my wife, my little daughter, Lana. I dug them out with my bare hands. I carried them with my own hands, and I buried them with my own hands.
The Americans had missed again. 18 civilians died instead. It now seems almost certain this source pointed to the wrong house.
I think the way that we went at it, the intelligence that we had, maybe was not as good as we thought it was.
The bulk of the other leadership strikes during the war were based on similarly flawed intelligence. 50 attempts were made to kill Iraqi leaders. Not a single one was successful.
The targets were all struck. Whatever the U.S. aimed at was hit, and hit magnificently. Buildings destroyed, smoking holes in the ground, that sort of thing. The problem is, the people who the U.S. was aiming at were not there. These leadership strikes led to the highest number of civilian casualties in the air war.
What was left for the Americans was to end the last desperate resistance. For the Iraqi military, it was a humiliation.
History will have no mercy on us, and
we come to Iraq with respect for its citizens, for their great civilization, and for the religious faiths they practice. We have no ambition in Iraq except to remove a threat and restore control of that country to its own people and carry on the work of peace. We will defend our freedom. We will bring freedom to others, and we will prevail.